And we're live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. You know who I am. Welcome to Bayloric Worldwide Television, the home, the original channel where it all started for myself back in 2009. All our interviews, all our features in boxing are on this channel. Of course, it's not just a boxing channel, entertainment, sports, news, current affairs. It's all here at Bayloric Worldwide. So it's the first time you've been on the channel. Welcome. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Okay, so we're here to talk boxing. James Degale versus Badou Jack. We're also to talk about Gervonta Davis versus Pedraza. I think coming into the fight, a lot of people didn't know. People knew that Davis was good, but they didn't know how good. Was he going to go on to be a potential top fighter, or was he going to be one of those Floyd Mayweather fighters that flopped when they finally get tested? We discovered that Gervonta Davis passed the test and he knocked out Pedraza. People asked the question why Pedraza decided to try and stand and trade with the bigger punching, more physically stronger opponent. But you saw, I think it was in the round previous to that, he had Gervonta up against the ropes and he started loading on Gervonta, and Gervonta wasn't responding. He had the tank hurt briefly. So I guess Pedraza would have thought to himself, I got this guy hurt here. The tactics are working. So we don't know if it was kidology. I think the tank admitted he was hurt briefly in the fight. And he said he came back and he saw in the next round, you don't stand straight in front of a puncher unless you think you've got a chance of knocking the puncher out. And as you saw in the next round, it was brutal the way that Gervonta went about knocking Pedraza out. So we have a new champion in the lighter weights. Positive, great news for Gervonta Davis. My slight concern for Gervonta Davis, I'm actually sitting on my mobile phone. My slight concern for Gervonta Davis, he's a young man. And you ask yourself the question, are we looking at a potentially a very great fighter in the future? We're always looking for greatness. Well, most of us are looking for greatness. Who's going to be that next great fighter? Are we looking at Gervonta Davis and seeing this is going to be a great fighter moving forward, or Gervonta Davis going to be an Adrian Broner? But you can't really knock an Adrian Broner. I mean, this guy's fought and won 3 different world titles or 3 different weights or something like that. So Adrian Broner ain't done bad for himself. He's going to be in the record books, okay? So he's no mug, Adrian Broner. But it's not so much the skill level of Adrian Broner I'm looking at there. I'm looking at what he's done outside the ring and how he's conducted himself as a fighter. So congratulations to Gervonta Davis. I really hope that this is the making of him and that he doesn't get caught up by the whole fast cars and the Mayweather bling bling and the women. I hope he does get back in the gym and he get training again, because he's going to have tougher fights than Pedraza in the future. And, if he wants to test himself against greatness, there will be many fighters out there that will want to test him. And there'll be fighters that will look at that Pedraza fight and think, okay, he's a good fighter. He's got damaging power, but he can be hurt. And a heavier puncher may fancy his chances. So congratulations to Pedraza for that. We've got people in the room. So good evening to people that are in the room at the moment. Dixon 76, Realist 770, Beverly O'Neill, Mr. P. O'Neill, and a few others in the room. Anyway, so welcome to you in the room. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on live shows like this. Okay, so moving on, the big fight, Degale versus Badou Jack. You know, I've been watching James Degale's career for a while, and I've said, I put myself in a line a long time ago and said James Degale would go on to become the best super middleweight in the world. I always had question marks about James Degale's trainer, Jim McDonnell, whether he was just a fitness trainer, fitness coach, or he actually was a good trainer. And if you look earlier in his career, there was a point where he was fighting, for those people in the UK would know, he was fighting in leisure centres and fighting in shopping malls. This was the Olympic champion. you know. So this is what James Degale was about, fighting in shopping malls and I don't know, sports complexes. That's how James Degale was fighting. I remember once him fighting for either the WB silver title or something like that, and him fighting a real tough guy. And I remember him fighting this guy, and majority of the fight was on the ropes. And then we discover they'd been fighting for the whole year with an injury. So I was really slamming McDonald, but he actually was Degale's injury, and then he came back. His career's blowing hot and cold. Then he had that fight against Gonzalez, and he stringed back-to-back performances. The fight against Durrell, you know, the fight against Butte, the fight against Porky, and now again tonight. But the same things are happening over and over and over again. Now, there are some things like technically the James Degale is still doing now that he's been doing all of his career. He seems to be unable to walk his way up close. He just seems to tuck up and walk forward, instead of technically jabbing his way to move in, or stepping in inside, or slipping inside. Degale doesn't seem to know how to do that. Degale puts his hands up and moves forward, and he's vulnerable to the uppercut. And throughout that fight, Degale made no adjustments whatsoever in trying to avoid getting hit with the uppercut. So he's walking into the uppercut. The other thing is Degale, when he's pulling back from shots, now, you know, you're getting caught with a straight right hand. As a southpaw, you're getting caught with a straight right hand. You know, other things. When Degale's in close, he doesn't, you know, like there were loads of opportunities where Badou Jack was there and he could have worked the body. Didn't do that for whatever reason. So he uses when he's inside to take a break and absorb punishment. And in America, you really can't afford to allow a guy to unload on you like that, because it makes close rounds. Even if the guy's not, even if you're catching shots, the guy that's throwing those punches, the Americans like busy, active fighters. And Badou Jack, on the second half of the fight, was landing those shots. James Degale laying on the ropes. You see, you can do that against European level fighters, British level, domestic fighters. But when you really fight at the elite level, all those bad habits that you've got start to get exposed. You see, and where James Degale previously has got away with a lot of those things, tonight he couldn't. He couldn't get away with it. You know, he was moving from what I call skating around the ring. He was moving from left to right. Yes, he was giving lateral movement, changing from southpaw to orthodox. That was good. But a lot of his shots were winging shots, missing cuffing shots. You know, and a lot of his shots reminded me like he was in between an amateur career and a pro career. There were moments I looked at Degale and thought, this is amateur moving around the ring. And then he put a couple of shots together and say, that's some class work you put in there. And I just think that Degale, yes, he's become a pro. He's still fighting much like an amateur. He's still skating around the ring like an amateur, almost like the whole Amir Khan thing. And I think the other concern about James Degale for me is when he goes into fights, has he left the best of his work in the gym? Is Jim McDonald training him too hard? Or is he too much of a workaholic, work too much in the gym? You know, James Degale's not one of these guys who are coming to the ring out of shape. He's always a guy in shape. But he always looks like he's blowing in fights. You have 6 rounds. He looks like he's tired. Is he struggling at the weight? Question marks. So all these questions need to be asked about James Degale. So there are a lot of things about James Degale that I'm concerned about, very concerned about, and they've come out again tonight. And I mentioned these things in the pre-fight. I was expecting tonight, because let's take it back a bit. In my pre-fight, I did the live show, and I said to people, somebody said to me, "Oh, have you seen Degale's body? He looks great, and he looks in great shape." And then I said, "Listen, don't pay any attention to the strength and conditioning garbage. It's absolute rubbish. I'm not saying it doesn't work. Don't misquote me here. But when you're using strength and conditioning, you don't not use strength and conditioning and then in one fight use strength and conditioning. It's going to be great. This is going to be something over, 4, 5, 6 fights before you really get to see that strength, because your body, your muscles are getting used to that now. You can't just train for 6 weeks and suddenly it's all there. It's going to have to be a period of time, 6 months, a year, where James Degale will really see that strength begin to tell if he's with a really top strength and conditioning trainer. But it's not just strength and conditioning James Degale what needs. He needs a technical trainer. He needs to learn how to throw punches correctly. You know, I tell you something. I tell you, wouldn't be a bad trainer for James Degale, actually, if he's still about. Enzo Calzaghe, the trainer of Joe Calzaghe, because you see, they do flurry the same sort of way, but Joe would put himself in positions. He didn't skate around the ring as much. Joe would stand there, let his shots go because he had the hand speed, and throw the uppercuts and spin off to the sides, much like Degale. But Joe knew how to walk his way, walk his opponents down. James Degale struggles to come. He struggles going forward. James Degale is very much like, you know, Chris Eubank. Eubank was great when you had him on the back foot, but when you go and make James Degale come forward at you, he's sloppy, and he leaves himself open. My personal thinking of the fight was a draw in my opinion, and I'll tell you why. Because the knockdown in the last round, yes, the knockdown in the last round, and Badou Jack coming on, great. He came on in the second half of the fight. So okay, you give Badou Jack the second half of the fight. Then I'll give James Degale the first half of the fight. Both guys got knocked down. So what? So if James Degale didn't get knocked down in the last round, I would have given James Degale the fight, because I thought that James Degale got the knockdown in the first round. I think the first half of the fight and a couple of the second half he got. So I would have given it to James Degale. But he got knocked down in the last round. That knockdown in the last round, again, bad habits. Putting straight back for punches, leaving your head exposed. You know, dropping down and leaving yourself exposed. Degale is a very good fighter, but I think he's thrown the dice one time too many, and I think now he needs to get a proper technical trainer in the ring with him. Now he needs a technical trainer. He needs a Mayweather. He needs a trainer who understands the science of boxing, and I don't believe Jimmy McDonnell knows about the science of boxing. And I'm on the belief, I could be wrong, but I think Jimmy McDonnell is overworking Degale. But, you know, I think Degale's a dedicated guy. I think he's an honest guy. I think he's a loyal guy. So he stuck with Jimmy for so long. So I guess he must think, well, Jimmy's got me this far. So I don't know. Can James Degale do 12 rounds at a pace? You've got to wonder if he can. I don't think he can either. I think he's another one I think he's struggling at the weight. But now they're talking about a rematch, Badou Jack. And Badou Jack says he seemed also, Badou Jack, I can believe Floyd Mayweather. When I look at Jack on the night, he looked thick. He looked solid, like super middle. He looked like a light heavyweight walking around the ring. And James Degale looked like a super middleweight. So rematch, yeah, I don't know. But the next thing we're going to talk about is Callum Smith. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Callum Smith is not in the caliber of those two guys that fought tonight. Not in a caliber. If Callum Smith's getting backed up by Luke Blackledge and guys of that level, not even in top 20, backing him up and getting him on the ropes, what is going to happen if a Badou Jack walks him down? Badou Jack will walk Callum Smith back and knock him out. You know, Callum Smith is tuck up tight, just typical Joe Gallagher. Tuck up tight, walk to ropes, throw the left hook to the body. No head movement, and he's wide open to the body. And you can look great against guys who are there to get beat up. But James Degale nor Badou Jack is there to get beat up. Those guys are going to destroy Callum Smith. I've said it already. You know, no amount of sky hyping will save Callum Smith. So Joe Gallagher and his 25% he's getting for every time Callum Smith fights poor opposition, that's good for Joe Gallagher, isn't it? It's good money for him. But ultimately, I believe that that's not going to help him come fight night when he really has to fight somebody of real note. So those are my thoughts on that. Let me hear what you people are thinking in the room. What are your thoughts on Badou Jack, Callum Smith, James Degale, Jim McDonnell? What are your thoughts about it all? Let me hear what you guys and girls are thinking. Okay, this, I don't know for what reason. Let me see if I can. That's better. Okay, For those who I didn't get to watch much of the Sky, I watch it on Showtime, so I try not to listen to. Okay, let's see. Callum Smith. Smith hardly beat anyone to prove he can. I agree. How did I like the fight? Hello, Bo. Let's get you in the room, brother. Let's get you in the room. I'm sure people would love to see you for 2017. It's big fight time, so let's get you in the room. Bo, I'm sending you the link via your Skype page. Right, I've just sent you a link via Skype page, brother. Jump in and have you say. Right, while I wait to Bo jump in the room, I'm just gonna. A draw is fair to me, but no way is it a robbery. Could have gone either way. Well, it would have been interesting. I would like if Degale didn't get knocked down at the last round, you'd have given the fight to Degale. Yep, Degale, Badou Jack was accurate with his shots. I agree, but I think no, forget Dave Colwell. No, I'm sorry. I thought Degale would have won for sure without the knockdown. Sky pundits had Jack winning. I don't get why, because they don't like James Degale, and I don't think Eddie Hearn likes James Degale. So Jack won. Okay. Was fair was fair in the end. For fuck's sake, people need to understand it wasn't robbery. Could have gone either way. I agree. Froch hates Degale. Poor commentating tonight. Well, you know, Froch. Remember, Froch and Degale had a bit of a back and forth supposedly. But I don't think Carl Froch is going to admit that there's any other super middleweight in the world better than himself. You know, other than Joe Calzaghe, you see. So I think that's just the way it's going to be with Carl Froch, unfortunately. Duncan Howard says Froch is a knob, wasn't even the best middleweight in his heyday. Well, that's the point. I won't call him a knob, but I would say that he wasn't the best middleweight, even when Andre Ward was retired or having his contractual issues. Everyone recognized that Andre Ward was still number one, and Carl Froch was the best super middleweight around available. So I would still love seeing Carl Froch fight Adonis Stevenson. I thought that would have been a great fight. Would George Goss be a test for Callum Smith? Yeah, I think so. I'd like to see him fight. I actually would like to see Callum Smith fight Porky. But actually, it'd be quite funny. I'd love to see Callum Smith fight Jack, because Jack would destroy Callum Smith. Ingram has nuts like tennis balls. What a guy. Degale won for me. Oh, Degale lost that fight because of the knockdown. Where is Bo anyway? Bo, where are you, mate? I think Bo's gone missing now. I'm not going to stay too much longer on this tonight. You're going to sleep tonight, Ingram. Haha. Who do you like? What do you mean, who do I like? I don't understand. It was close, but Degale winning by one point. That's interesting, but Degale lost that fight because he got knocked down in the last round. That's it. Because that knockdown cost him the fight. Let's be honest. I don't think Jack was going to win that fight, apart from the knockdown. I think the knockdown is what won the fight, got Degale, what kept Badou Jackie's title. Who's the best super middleweight? The best super middleweight, I still think, is James Degale. But on that performance tonight, like I said, for me, few things I would change about James Degale. First of all, change his trainer. Now's the time to change his trainer to make the adjustments. I think Bo's in the room. I'm hearing noises.
Yeah, that's me, man. What's going on?
Happy New Year, my friend.
Hey, same to you, man. Yo, I got a question, man.
Yes.
I thought you gave up boxing, man.
Listen, this is just a feature on my channel. That's all. Just a feature. Just a feature.
Well, I tell you what, man. I'm glad to have you back, man.
Just a feature. Just a feature. And just for features, I early on tonight we had with the performance from indigenous.
I saw that Indigenous Destiny. I saw that interview.
What do you think about?
She is crazy energetic, man. She's alive and popping and going. She's what, 25, in between 25 and 30?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured that with all that much energy. That's the last time I remember having that kind of energy.
So when you get people like that from LA doing that stuff, it's great. It gives the channel certainly much more diversity. But we're here to talk boxing, so let's get on with it.
All right.
Your thoughts on the fight?
Which one?
Jack. Degale.
On my channel, on my show.
Yes.
Everybody go back and watch it. Truth and Facts About Boxing. I called this fight a draw. I said this fight's going to be a draw. And the reason why I call it, because this is too evenly matched of a fight. James Degale fades in the second half of the fight. Badou Jack, although he's basic, but the thing is, there were rounds where I just felt like that James Degale would be flashy, but Badou Jack will have the more telling moments.
Mm-hmm.
So it would depend on what judge sees what. So I just had this feeling. I said, this fight's going to be a draw because there's no particular area that I can look that I saw in this fight where there was one dude that had a clear-cut advantage. Right. That was just plain clear-cut. And I tell you what, Badou Jack had 1 minute and 21 seconds to get James Degale out of there, and he could not do it. I think if he could have knocked Degale down at least one more time,
he would have won the fight.
He'd have won the fight. But
he actually saved himself from losing that title. You do know that.
Who?
Badou Jack.
Oh yeah, with that knockdown.
If he didn't knock Degale down, he would have won that fight.
Yeah, because both, I think the last two judges had it a draw, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
if that knockdown didn't happen,
yeah.
So Degale lost the fight because he lost the opportunity to become a unified champion based on the knockdown and technical skills being not as good as they should be at that level.
Well, here's the thing, and I remember when you was talking and I said this. The thing with James Degale is extremely athletic, and he relies on that athleticism. And remember, I told you, I said James Degale is more athletic, but Badou Jack is more technically sound. Because if you watch toward the fight, once that athleticism started going away and the fight started slowing down, it became more of a Jack type fight. James Degale didn't have the technical aspect to, survive it to where that knockdown didn't take place.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think that his technical ability is the way that it is because of his trainer and the way he's training, or because he is just generally that way?
He's just generally that way. Listen, most guys like James Degale that are very awkward, irky, jerky, athletic, they don't necessarily focus that much on the technical aspect of what they need to do to win a fight.
Let me ask you a second. When I look at James Degale, he has aspects and elements of a Joe Calzaghe.
I say, yeah, you can say Joe Calzaghe. I'll even go as far as say a very athletic Roy Jones Jr. He just don't have the tremendous reflexes. Yeah, he don't have the tremendous reflexes Roy had.
Thing is, because I see the way he slaps with his punches, the way Calzaghe used to do the same thing as well. I see that the way he throws them punches, and they look like they're being slaps. And I think to myself, if he had somebody who could kind of tighten those punches up, so he's not slapping as much, and he was doing a lot of skating around the ring. Did you notice he was skating around the ring?
Well, that's classic James Degale. James Degale gonna use the entire ring.
But he was skating, but tonight he was skating around the ring.
He was,
there was no like, okay, I'm gonna move left or move right, and when I move right or left, I'm gonna counter you, or I'm gonna catch you for 2 or 3 punches and then spin away. They were just moving from left to right to get out of the way, to keep getting hit, stop getting hit by Badou Jack. That was it. There was a lot of, I don't want to get hit by Badou Jack tonight. I don't want to get hit tonight. So let me move from left to right and confuse the guy. But there was no sort of, right, I'm going to slip to this side and take that. And I'll move to take that. So it'll stop you coming forward. That's why Badou Jack was able to keep the high guard up and just keep moving forward. You look at Gervonta Davis early on, as another going back. Gervonta Davis, Pedraza tried the same crap, hands held high, move forward. What happened? As he started coming forward, he started getting hit with whipping with uppercuts and hooks to the body. So that stops a man coming forward and getting brave and throwing straight right hands. And because when Degale was in close, because he doesn't know how to close the range down, Degale, because he doesn't know how to fight. He's not an offensive fighter, although he looks offensive. He can't fight offensively. It's like Chris Eubank Senior. He kind of uses his guard to move forward. If you want
a reaction fighter.
Yeah. So he tucks himself up to get himself into position rather than use a jab to move yourself in, or right hand to pull yourself in, or left hook to get yourself in. Roy would use a left hook to get him the way.
Roy would use hooks. Roy would use hooks. He would use feints.
Yeah.
He would use straight rights. As a matter of fact, Roy would really throw the straight right a lot more than he would throw a jab.
Exactly. But that's how he got inside, you see.
Right.
Gale just puts his hands up and just moves forward. So all you have to do is kind of step back and throw the uppercut and follow it over the left hook. So that is something that your Olympic champion, I'm sure he would have learned how to box better than that. That's how Groves has always been able to beat Degale. I don't think he beat him before that fight he had. I think it was more a political thing. Right. The way he was able to beat him as an amateur was to let Degale come to him. Let Degale come to him.
Well, here's something else, though. We got to give Badou Jack credit. He never abandoned the game plan. Like, I was watching the fight, and I don't know if it was around the 7th or 8th round. You can clearly tell which man was the more fresher dude and landing the more telling shots in that fight. Badou Jack punches were just thuds. They were boom, boom. They were thuds. And I give James Degale all the credit in the world. Those punches was bothering him. Them body shots, them punches was bothering him because he could have got a point deducted for always spitting out his mouth. I think something was wrong with his jaw because he kept spitting out the mouthpiece.
Because his tooth. He lost a tooth.
But did he lose a tooth from the first time he spit out the mouthpiece, or was it with the mouthpiece in his mouth?
I don't know really.
Yeah.
But it's not the first time he's had the gumshoe knocked out his mouth anyway.
Okay. And the tooth. But I also think those body shots were making it hard for him to breathe, and he just couldn't breathe with that mouthpiece in his mouth. Okay. So he had to spit it out to really get his mouth open, which is dangerous because when you open your mouth wide, you get hit with a punch, it breaks your jaw.
Sure. You know?
Yeah, but it was. I called this fight a draw. Now because we were talking about it as far as the rematch. Badou Jack had already indicated this was his last fight at 168. He was going to move up to 175. So we already knew that. So I'm not upset if the rematch don't happen. But what this is what I will say. They need to stop making everything about Floyd, man. Really. They need to stop making it. There was no need for them to talk to Floyd about the rematch. Talk to Badou Jack. You had the two fighters right there in the ring. You know? They didn't talk to Eddie Hearns. They talked to Floyd, so we need to stop.
That was quite funny. They kind of they cut Eddie short.
Yeah. So that's why we need to stop. Floyd need to work his way out of the equation. Be a promoter, sit over there on the side, and do it like that. But
you see how you see how he swore on national television, but they didn't dare say anything to him.
Well, because that's why I'm gonna tell you something. It was number one, it was Showtime, and number two, Floyd made them money. Like, I'll bet you people tuned in when they heard Floyd Mayweather was here. I bet you people tuned. I would love to know what the ratings for this show was. I bet you they're high. I bet you they'll probably be high because it was promoted by him. But the Tank Davis fight surprised me because I said this also on my show. I said Pedraza is the type of fighter that counts heavily on his corner because he doesn't necessarily think a lot for himself in that fight. He fought the wrong fight, period. that was just the wrong fight he fought. He fought
You say
Tank Davis like a fight.
You say that, but I think it was the round before he got knocked out. He actually was putting some good work in on Davis, and he stunned Davis, and Davis admitted himself. So if you basically were to say that, he went through some tough moments, and as any champion does, he sees himself, you know what? I've got through some tough moments here. I'm breaking through. I've hurt Davis. This is working. So that it's working. Let me stick with it. So then he kind of relaxes. Davis catches him with that body shot, and then it all unravels from there.
But see, this is why I say it was the wrong fight. It was the wrong fight because he was having some moments, but Davis has these moments in fights where I believe, I'm not going to say gasses, but he takes these breaks where he has these long gaps in breaks in fight, because I think it was like the third round where for like almost a minute, Davis didn't even throw a punch.
Yes, that's the round I'm talking about.
Right, so he gets really armory because he's a hard puncher. So he gets really armory because he's such a hard puncher. So I wasn't surprised that Pedraza had some moments. But what I was surprised at was Davis was able to out-jab him. There was moments where Davis was using a jab. I haven't seen Davis throw a jab in I don't know how long. Davis went to the body. I think Pedraza should have went more to the body on Davis as well. Pedraza should have boxed more, but I can understand why he was scared because of Davis's hand speed. I was shocked to see Davis bagging up more than Pedraza. So he tried to really come at him and kind of bully the bully when he should have just more fought his fight. He had the arm reach, he had the length. He should have made Davis come to him, not going to Davis.
What are we looking at in Gervonta Davis? Are we looking at Gervonta Davis, Adrian Broner Mark II? Are we looking at Gervonta Davis, Jeff Lacey Mark II? Or are we looking at Gervonta Davis, Zab Judah? Or are we looking at Gervonta Davis, Floyd Mayweather? Which Gervonta Davis are we looking at here? Which one is it going to be?
I don't know which one it's going to be. I can tell you which one it's not. It's not going to be Gervonta Davis, Floyd Mayweather. He is nothing like Floyd Mayweather, period. Nothing. I actually could see all of those that you're talking about as possibilities. Listen, the reality is Gervonta Davis ain't number one. For that division he's in, he's not necessarily the biggest guy for that division. That's number one. Number two, the other dudes that holding belts are some dogs. It is some dogs holding belts at that division. You have that's 135, right?
Yeah, that's the 135 is the lightweight, isn't it? He's lightweight. He's super feather. Well, I think he's lightweight. He's just below lightweight.
Yeah, no, because that would mean 130.
Super featherweight.
Super featherweight?
Yes.
So that's 130 then.
Yeah, 130.
Okay, see, you got Lomachenko. Lomachenko is there. Okay, that's what I'm saying. You got some killers there.
So would you really want to see Davis versus Lomachenko?
I mean, if Davis is a champion, they want to do a unification, we have to see it. But Lomachenko wins that easily. Davis has too many technical flaws.
Yeah.
You know, he have, like, the thing is, Davis has great athleticism, but it's still, Lomachenko athleticism is much better, and his ring IQ is much higher.
And can box better.
And can box better. Now, I could possibly see Gervonta Davis and Felix Verdejo.
I tell you what about the guy that quit in his stool? I can't remember his name. What about him?
Who's that quit on his stool?
Walters, Nicholas Walters. Gervonta Davis.
That would be an interesting fight also as well. That would be an interesting fight also as well, I think, because Walters can pop.
But so can Gervonta Davis.
And Gervonta would give him a chance to land some stuff on him. So that would be an interesting fight. But for that division, there's some people in that division that I think would give Tank some really tough fights. But Lomachenko, I don't see him beating Lomachenko at all.
Yeah, forget that.
Yeah, that's why I say so. He's not going to be. Matter of fact, I doubt if we see that fight happen, to be honest with you.
But they're talking about Gervonta Davis has become a superstar. By beating Pedraza, does that make you a superstar? Really?
Yeah, in today's world, yeah, it does. When you think about this for a second. Look at the guy who what's his name? Look at like Oscar Valdez. and I like Oscar Valdez, okay? But who can we name? Oscar Valdez won a vacant title that Lomachenko left, right? And Oscar Valdez, you know, and he's being looked at as a superstar, but it's all about who's behind you backing you. You know, I mean, they was talking about, remember, Chavez Jr. was a superstar because of his name. Canelo was a superstar before the, you know, because of, and you know, this was before he fought Floyd and everything. He was a superstar again because of the push and backing he had behind him. So they're looking at him as a superstar because it's Floyd Mayweather. Same thing with Adrian Broner. Remember, they had Adrian Broner as a superstar because of Floyd Mayweather being behind him. So, yeah, you know, so it's all about who's behind you, pushing you, that they look at you like that.
So, has the title come too soon for Gervonta Davis, or has it come at the right time?
In my opinion, it came at the right time because this was the perfect guy for him to fight to win the title. Pedraza hadn't fought in a year or more.
Didn't he fight Liam? Did he fight one of the Smith brothers?
Yes, he did. I think that was the last fight. And one of the Smith brothers, in my opinion, I thought Steve Smith could have won that fight. That was a very close fight. That was a hard fight. Smith was having some success getting Pedraza on the back foot.
What about Smith versus Gervonta Davis?
I think Gervonta wins that fight. I think Gervonta's power and speed would give Smith some problems.
I'm sure they'll try and make that fight happen. Though. You tell the sort of fight that you'll see Eddie Hearn called pay-per-view.
I just want to say on your show, I got my Uber driver on speed now. So if I see any tweets about Degale's sister not feeling too happy, I'm gonna have to fly down there to
Everyone's on that Degale sister thing, man.
Yeah, she was at the
grief about it all the time.
Yeah. She was at the fight tonight. It was good. You had a lot of people that was there. It was good to see that.
If I were Errol Spence, I would have run up on Kell Brook.
Yeah, most definitely. Did you see the latest? Eddie Hearns said in Ring TV that his number one priority right now is making Khan Brooks and not Spence.
Yeah, well, what brings in more money?
Well, that brings in more money, but you know what though? Brooks said something I agree with him when he, you know, because Khan said, "Fight Errol Spence, then come call me." And Brooks said something I agree with him. Like every time he came down to me and fighting, there was always something he wanted me to do before he would fight me. It was first, fight this guy first, then win a world title, and he's like every time. And I agree with Brooks there, but we know what Brooks is doing. Brooks is doing to Spence what Khan was doing to Brooks.
Yeah, I think so. I think the fight will happen, but I think the fight will happen if they move Eddie Hearn out of the way.
You think so?
Yes. If they move him out of the way, I think the fight will be made.
That'll be good, man. But you know what though? I want to say that I enjoyed all the fights tonight. Even the women fights were good tonight.
Did Seriana fight tonight?
Yes, she did. She won.
I'm happy for her.
She won, but I'm gonna tell you something. She won a decision, and that Yasmin girl, was a lot better than I remember seeing her fight.
Okay.
She fought a lot better than I remember seeing her fight. She kind of bruised up old Seriana there.
I'm happy there she won. The sisters are Dave. How's the other sister doing, by the way?
She's doing okay. I don't know when she has a fight coming up, but Katie Taylor was in the.
I have heard stories that she might not be around much longer. That last fight she had wasn't great, and yeah, I don't know how long that's going to last.
Well, I'm
space.
Well, I'm gonna go on record and say this: as soon as I saw Katie Taylor, I immediately sent out a tweet to our girl Chantel Cameron. I'm waiting on her to go pro because that's my girl. That's who's gonna change the game. Eddie Hearn's backing the wrong horse here. I'm just gonna say that.
How can you? I know you know there's much love for Chantel, but how can you say that and not talk about Angie?
Oh, of course. Come on now, Angie. Come on now. I actually shout out to Angie. She had a great photo shoot.
I saw it.
Yeah, she had a great photo shoot, and I've been, Marcus Williams. He has a fight, but that fight he had some kind of tournament. And AJ Carter, you know, he's been working out, and you know, I've been hitting the gym. You know, all these guys got me hitting the gym, and I was in the gym from watching him, and I said, you know what, man, watching these guys, I still got it, and I did like 2 rounds on the heavy bag, and I needed my oxygen tank.
Mike, what you know what I'm gonna say to you? I'll see you in September. Let me see your timeline in September.
Oh yeah. Right, yeah, you're right about that, man. But you know what though? What up?
If you're still around in September, then I know it's for real. I mean, you know, if it's for real.
Oh no, I'm gonna stick with it. But you know, though the fight was good. One of the things that bothered me was Dan Rafael put out a tweet saying it was like 10,000 people at the Barclays Center. I'm thinking to myself, who gives a shit? Talk about the fight. Like, that's what's wrong with boxing right now. You know, we so worried about the money and the seating and the A side and the B side. What happened to just watching good fights?
Well, you've got to ask yourself, these people in media, what is the agenda? Remember, those who control the media control the minds.
That's true.
So, you know, America is the biggest export of media. That's the only thing they damn well sell. Dan Raphael's one of yours. And so, therefore, the agenda would be to...
No, he's not, man. I'm part Cuban. I'm claiming that today.
Listen, and Dan Raphael, I don't know what his relationship with Floyd Mayweather is like. It was a Floyd Mayweather promotion or part of Floyd Mayweather. So, hey, why not mention the numbers and the figures on a Floyd Mayweather bill and make it not look as good as it should look? You know the agenda. Come on, man. You should be cuter than that.
10,000 people to watch a unification fight of 2 guys that's not really that well known especially amongst casuals. That's a big deal.
What's the big deal? You've got the 2 best guys in the world fighting. Dan Raphael, shut your mouth. You'd complain if the 2 guys ducked one another. The fact now they're fighting one another, you're bitching. As far as I'm concerned, you know, these people, you wonder if they're actually genuine reporters or they're actually trolls with so that's my thoughts on that.
But it was an awesome fight, man. Listen, we got everything we wanted tonight out of these fights, man. It was, oh God, it was awesome fights. James Degale showed a lot of heart because I thought he was gonna fold when he got knocked down. I was like, okay,
no, I didn't. I thought he's mentally very strong, that man.
Yeah, I didn't realize how.
The thing is, I wonder, and please, boxing fans, don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. When I look at James Degale, I wonder if he's not that very intelligent, or watch this one, he hasn't got that much to focus on. Like, you know, at school, you had those kids that had attention deficit order.
Mm-hmm.
But those people couldn't concentrate for too long.
Right.
What if James Degale's one of them kind of guys? But when he's on it, he's fantastic. But when he's not on it, he goes walkabout and wandering around the school.
I was one of
them kind of kids at school.
I was one of those. I actually have it now. That's the only thing that ever kept my attention was boxing. That's the only thing that boxing was the only thing that ever kept my attention. My mama, she hated it to this day. But
so you wonder if Degale is like that, and whether if that's the case, then you have to train him a different kind of way. Because the way he's switching off in fights, is that a stamina thing or is that a mental thing? If it's a mental thing, then he needs something to deal with that, get to the root of that problem. Because I actually think that's the best Badou Jack can fight. And I think James Degale is only a 50% fighter. That's what I think. 50% a fighter. And I think 45% of that is based on his amateur pedigree.
You know, here's the problem with that is that 50% that James Degale, and you're right, I agree with you. I think that's the best Badou Jack that we're going to see.
Yeah.
I think that Badou Jack was the best Badou Jack we're going to see. You've always watched James Degale and felt there was more. Like when he fought Medina, I didn't recognize that James Degale. I really didn't recognize that James Degale. I'm like, you can do better than this. But the problem is, here's a guy who, for all of his career, and maybe even the amateurs, that was okay with fighting with that 50%. So now it's going to get hard. He's what, 30, 32? It's going to be hard to get that other 50% out of him now, because now,
30.
well, but I mean, he's at that point now where that's just from a mental standpoint, that's just it. I mean, so that
that's the difference between being a good fighter and a great fighter. Great fighters make the adjustments.
I agree.
And I don't think, and Degale was unable to make the adjustments when he fought Badou Jack. He was getting hit with the uppercut over, and I thought to myself, you know, Andre Ward versus Degale would have been a good fight. I don't anymore.
Oh yeah, listen, Andre Ward washes both of these guys. I'm sorry.
I can see Andre Ward fighting Badou Jack as a defense of his title.
I could see that. I could also see Adonis Stevens fighting Badou Jack.
I don't see that's going to happen.
No.
Joe Smith's going to fight him first.
And I said it then, I'll say it now. Shame on Adonis Stevens for fighting Joe Smith, because he's taking the easy fight, because he knows that Joe Smith is well, I'm not saying it's an easy fight. I'm saying he's thinking in his mind, this is an easy fight with high reward, because this is a guy who is hot right now, and I can jump on him and fight him. And that's what I think Adonis Stevens is doing. But there's a lot of other guys he could fought. I mean, he could have fought Arthur Beterbiev. You know, there's a lot of dudes that Adonis could have fought. So shame on him for that. And I hope Joe Smith knocks him the hell out if he fights. I hope he knocks him the hell out.
It won't happen.
Yeah, I know, but I hope he does. I hope he knocks.
The common joke I've got running at the moment when I'm in the car and I'm going into town is between me and my bro. It's Bernard Hopkins' great statement: "I will never let a white boy beat me," and you can take that to the bank. That statement is ringing in my head every day now. It's been there since he got knocked for the ropes. I mean, and you knew it was only a matter of time before somebody put the highlights together of him getting beat by Kazaki, getting beat by Kovalev, and getting knocked through the ropes by Joe Smith. I mean, you know what? For all of Hopkins' legacy, that is going to stain his career.
You think so?
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. When you think about Bernard Hopkins, what's the first thing that comes to your mind now? To me, that's a stupid statement. Yeah. It was a stupid statement to make.
Well, I remember when Bernard Hopkins threw the Puerto Rican flag on the ground. Remember,
that's different. But that's different. But
it started a riot, though.
Yeah, but that's different. Again, he was doing it against a guy who you know is smaller than him and not a natural middleweight. That's different. And remember what he said? "You're common. I'm special."
Well, you know, that's Bernard Hopkins. But I remember because he said he told that to Joe Calzaghe, right? He said, "I never let a white boy beat me." I remember when he said that. Matter of fact, he said it as he was walking away. I remember when he said that, man. I remember when he said, "You're right." I remember when he said it.
Oh, that would be my dream interview, talking to Bernard Hopkins. There'd be one question I'd ask him, and I said, "Bernard, answer me this question. What do these three guys have in common?" Joe Smith, Kovalev.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Asking, "I want a refund." The check bounced. Oh, dear me.
You are horrible.
Imagine his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren. "Hey, Granddad, you said a white boy wouldn't beat me. Wouldn't beat you. What happened to these three guys? They all whooped your ass." "I don't worry about that, son. It was a bit of promotional stuff." But you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. I mean, I said it in the preview. Like, boxing gods are unforgiving. They are unforgiving.
Yeah, they are. They are. They are.
I got pushed through the ropes. That was a down punch that knocked him through the ropes.
Oh, he was on the ground. This is what's so funny. He's on the ground pointing up already to say, "I was pushed." You know, he's doing the then he gets up and he does that hobble thing, like his ankle, like he rolled his ankle from, and then so he looks at the replay, and it's like when you see the replay, it's one of those moments where I can just imagine Bernard looking at that replay and realizing it wasn't a push and you didn't hurt your ankle, and everybody in the crowd looking at Bernard like, bruh.
It's like all your worst dreams, like all your nightmares coming all at once in the space of those 5 minutes. The white boy knocks you out the ring, then he's a replay, and then you've got to answer questions about it. And then you've got the post-fight interview as well. Oh man.
Yeah, you know, that was something to see Bernard do that though. I got pushed out the ring, then his ankle. I'm like, what did you hit your ankles on the way down?
I noticed there's no Bernard Hopkins versus Kovalev 2. There's no Joe Smith versus Bernard Hopkins. And there's no Joe Kawasaki versus Bernard Hopkins 2.
Oh, you just having the ball over there on old Bernard Hopkins, ain't you? Wow.
I just
Bernard can't get no love, man. Bernard can't get no love.
I just don't like people making. Listen, if you think that and if you believe it, keep it in your head. Don't talk that stupid stuff out, because you wouldn't want like a white guy to turn around and say that back at you, would you? Because if Joe Smith said, "I'll never let a black man beat me," if Joe Smith had said that to Bernard Hopkins, oh my gosh, you would get a seminar. You'd get a whole preaching from Bernard Hopkins as to why. You know it.
Yeah, as to why Kawasaki shouldn't be allowed to box no more.
Right, there you go. So I think, you know, wrong is wrong. Bernard should never have made a statement like that. Just as when...
I'm glad I got you there. I meant to ask you something.
Yes.
I was watching one of your videos, and you mentioned something about John David Jackson being gone as Kovalev's trainer.
He's gone.
He's not the trainer no more?
Gone.
Because that news hasn't broken over here yet.
Gone.
Where did you hear this?
Gone.
Okay. All right.
Okay. You know, look.
We'll talk.
Listen, they're just as bad as one another. It's like Laurel and Hardy. They're as bad as one another. Right? Now, there's three things. Did John David Jackson actually want Kovalev to beat Andre Ward? Yeah, I know he's getting paid for it, but he didn't sound to me like a trainer that wanted this fighter to win the fight. Because when Andre Ward was dropped in that round, the next round, Kovalev, if that was Emmanuel Stewart in that corner, he would have gone, the words would have been, Emmanuel said, go take it to him, go take it to him. That's what Emmanuel would have said to him. But John David Jackson was kind of like, cool and relaxed, you're doing well, you're boxing fine, you allowed Ward to get back in the fight. You know, you allowed Ward to get himself in the fight, get into some sort of rhythm, allowed Ward to start throwing body shots on you, bringing the fight, getting closer to the point where Ward wins the fight on points, regardless if you think he won the fight or not. That shouldn't have happened. John David Jackson at no point in time was able to take Kovalev to the next level, and Kovalev himself couldn't sense the moment that he was going to get what was going to happen to him in the end. So they're as bad as one another. Don't blame the trainer for your own lackluster performance. And John David Jackson, you know, this was his big fight. This was the fight for him to really say, you know what? Two of the elite fighters fighting together. I can get my guy over the edge. I can get him over the line. He couldn't. He failed. So that's it. You know, I think you look at other fighters, you look at other trainers. Joe Gallagher with Scott Quigg. Big fight. You need to look to your trainer to make that difference between you know, coming close in a fight and winning a fight. Joe Gallagher's excuse was, I had to look at the Sky scorecards to know we were 6 rounds down. Your own damn eyes, you're paid as a trainer. You can't tell that your guy's 6 rounds down. I can sit down in my house and see that you're bloody 6 rounds down. Stevie Wonder can see that Scott Quigg was 6 rounds down. So you tell me. You
know what though? You also have to take in consideration John David Jackson, I think for a good portion, I think for the first 2 weeks of camp, he wasn't even there with Kovalev. And then he openly admitted, he said, yeah, I tell Kovalev what to do, but sometimes he just goes out there and do what he wants. So this is a trainer that's not really even training the fighter.
But you can see the improvements on him from where was Abel Sanchez.
Yeah, but how big of an improvement are we talking about, though?
But you're saying
Like,
that now. You're saying that
but I
now
mean,
against a guy with a skill set that I'm not sure any other person between super middleweight and light heavyweight's got.
that's true, but like I just question the amount of training. Like John David Jackson may be training him, but Kovalev may not be listening to him. So John David Jackson is like, I'm just going to do enough, you know, because at the end of the day, the guy got the power to end the fight. You know, that could be his mindset.
Right, it
But
didn't work, did it?
you can definitely see that it's not. But he's going though. He's going.
He's gone.
I wonder when they're going. I wonder when that's going to break. That story's going to break.
It'll break. I'm sure it'll break. Yeah, you know, so he's gone, and they're fine looking for another trainer now. So I expect to see eventually at some point in time Bashir get booted as well. Said it already. So I expect to see him get booted.
Well, they definitely was hoping that they would have reason to in this last fight, but Usyk wound up knocking the guy out, so they got to hold off. They got to hold off right now.
They've got to find some other excuse. I don't know. They'll find a way. If they're going to get rid of him, they'll find a way.
They'll find a way, and as soon as they get rid of Ali Bashir, Usyk could take a loss because I was talking to Gary Logan, shout out to him, and he said that you can clearly see the difference from Usyk in the Olympics in 2012 and the Usyk we see with John David Jackson. He said there's a huge...
James Ali Bashir, you mean?
I mean, right, James Ali Bashir. He said there's a huge... Sorry about that, Uncle James. He said there's a huge difference between the Usyk from 2012 and the Usyk that's been trained by James Ali Bashir.
Absolutely, very, very clear. Very, 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 very.
You know. Hey, man, I missed the brown couch, man. What, did you move?
No, man, you just, you know how it goes. Just made a few adjustments here and there.
Yeah.
Still waiting to do the main adjustment. It's changing. You know, we're still getting there. You like this now, or you prefer the brown couch?
Bro, the brown couch, man, looked comfortable.
Yeah, I see nothing's changed with you then.
Well, I'm still doing boxing. You know, I haven't reached the Bayloric worldwide stage just yet in my career.
See, you're hating now. Now you're hating. Don't start hating. Don't start hating. I'll start seeing about Lewis Ortiz again. Oh, when's Lewis Ortiz fighting again, by the way?
Huh?
Who's he fighting next? Somebody ranked 200 in the world?
Check this out. Now, you know the WBA ordered him to fight the winner of Klitschko and Joshua, right?
Yeah.
Eddie Hearns is trying to get Lewis Ortiz to fight who's the guy? Who's the guy? He's trying to get him fight one of the other. He's trying to get Lewis Ortiz to fight one of the other belt holders, or top rank or highly ranked heavyweights.
See? Okay.
Yeah. So Deontay Wilder is probably going to wind up fighting Joseph Parker.
Not going to happen. Sorry.
You don't think so?
And you can take that to the bank, and that one will cash.
I think it won't happen because Joseph Parker recently was picked up by Top Rank, and I don't think Bob Arams is going to let go of a heavyweight champion.
Okay. Well, I said, remember, my rumor beer said to me that Pacquiao would fight Horn before it was announced. It happened. We're just waiting to see whether Hughie Fury actually gets to fight Joseph Parker.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They may take a chance in that fight because they may say to him, okay, Hughie's been out of the ring for a while. His last fight wasn't really spectacular. He has had health issues in the past. They may take a chance and say, he might be good. He might not be that good. They may look at the resume and say, no, we'll take a chance at him. So they may take the opportunity. They may take the chance. I don't know, but they might take it.
You think they might take the chance on Anthony Joshua fighting Wilder?
Well, you got to pass Klitschko first. We got to see if that fight's actually going to happen.
They already got it set.
Yeah, they had Fury versus Klitschko set for the second fight. They had David Haye versus Fury for the first fight. I told you none of the fights would happen. We'll have to wait and see about the
David Haye got hurt. I think David Haye got hurt twice, didn't he?
Well, there you go. So there's nothing wrong with Klitschko not getting injury like a month before the fight. You know, Klitschko, he never goes through a fight first time round. So injury to Klitschko, ankle, arm, leg, eye, nose, chest, rib. Klitschko injury, fight postponed. And then they'll say, well, you know, I haven't fought for almost a year and a bit, and, you know, I think maybe I need to get a warm-up. So he just ties Anthony Joshua up into a contract, which keeps him not doing anything for a while.
You're being kind of hard on him there, ain't you?
What's that?
Being kind of hard on Vladimir Klitschko, ain't you?
Wait, okay, tell me the last time Klitschko had a fight where he didn't pull out of an injury. Why, you name me a fight that Klitschko of recent times.
The Jennings fight.
And then after that?
That's it.
He knew he'd beat Jennings, so let's move on.
What about, I think, when he fought Eddie Chambers?
Oh, that's a long time ago. That's what Emmanuel Stewart was still around there, man.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Talk about fishing. We'll have to change you to truth and some historical facts boxing.
Hey, man.
No, it was the Fury fight. The first Fury fight, pulled out of injury, didn't he?
Yeah, he's true. Matter of fact, Fury even said that in a meeting. Like,
yeah.
Like, I know you're going to do it.
I said it. I called it. The fight was announced. I said to Tyson, Klitschko's going to pull out. You watch. Klitschko pull out the fight. I said he'll pull out the first time, but the second time round, he'll take the fight. Watch. And that's what happened. So
Tyson coming back this year. He says he's coming back.
So he says. Well, we'll have to wait and see on that. Well, you know, but like I said, I did a video on it. So he's coming back. That's great. But nobody's going to give him red carpet treatment. So, you know, anybody who's under the illusion that Tyson's going to get red carpet treatment, he's not going to get it. Lennox Lewis was a heavyweight champion of the world and a man that nobody really wanted to do business with because he was whooping ass. And he had to win titles going through the court system. So I don't expect Tyson to get any favors done for him on his comeback. For whatever reason, he will have to. I don't think it's going to be easy for him coming back. And we have to wait and see what mental state he's at in terms of whether, you know, how much him being away from the sport and now him coming back to the sport, where his heart is in 2017, you know, and you know what he did against Klitschko that night. Nobody's got evidence to justify and say, you know what, Tyson can do better than that. That could be his best performance of his whole career. We don't know. And the fact is, he was chasing the Klitschko fight. Klitschko was the best heavyweight in the world. People said he couldn't beat him. He beat him. Now he's beating Klitschko. And now you've got Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, and those guys are not established and tested like Klitschko was. So really, what's the motivation? You want to win what belt? The WBC belt? So you want to fight Wilder? Okay, fine. So that's the only belt you ain't got in boxing. Other than that, you've had all the other belts. And they've actually vacated the other belts and have got the IBO title or the Ring Magazine title, which is great. So Tyson can have his own legacy. He don't need to deal with all these governing bodies. He can be the Ring Magazine champion of the world and show how a championship is meant to be defended by taking on.
I'm about to say, but the Ring Magazine title requires the holder to fight a top 5 contender, though.
Yep. Well, that's what Tyson's gonna have to do. If you want to talk about you want to be in the footsteps of Muhammad Ali, then you need to start fighting those type of guys. Top 5. Who's oh, hold on, let me get this. Hold on a second. Keep talking, Bo.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, the fight was, like I said, it was. I called this fight a draw, though, man. I called this fight a draw.
Yeah.
What do you think about Badou Jack going to 175?
Yeah, him against Ward, good fight.
But do you think he'll have some success at 175?
Yeah, I do. Against Ward, maybe. You see, Badou Jack, his chin looked quite decent as well. Did you think?
Yeah, you know, that was a flash knockdown in the first round.
No, I'm talking about how he got poleaxed. Like, in that first round, you know, when he lost his first fight. How he got poleaxed in the first round. Somebody got knocked out like that.
Right.
And then to come back and look so solid. And to Yeah, and he's fought, like, you can say what you want about Degale being a maybe not a big huge puncher, but hey, Booty can punch. I don't care what anybody does. Booty can punch.
Yes, he can.
So here we go, brother. You there? Are you with us? Pound for pound boxing. Are you there?
What's good? What's good, brothers? What's good?
Hey, what's going
Good to
on?
see you there. Pound for pound boxing. Meet Bo Bland from Truth and Facts Boxing.
What's going on, brother? What's going on? What's going on, brother?
Hey, what's happening, man? Nice to meet you.
So tell us your thoughts on tonight's events.
Start with the main event. For me, I have to be honest here. I thought Badou Jack won. I love the way he came on during the second half of the fight. The consistent, persistent pace that he fought at. I love the body. It's not just the fact that he's a body puncher. I love how he goes to the body. He wore Degale down. I didn't expect him to be so much physically stronger than Degale. It wasn't the power for me. It was the fact that
Physicality,
the physical strength, and that wore down on Degale, not just physically but mentally as well. Old school 15-round fight for me. He stops Degale.
Yes.
The question is, will we see a rematch? Let's hope so. The undercard, Tank Davis, he almost stole the show. He had the crowd with him for sure. I mean, a good chunk of Baltimore was in the building tonight. And as I was saying on another show, look, I heard Al Bernstein talk about, Jose Pedraza, he fought the wrong fight this, he fought the wrong fight that. For me, thinking over the fight now, it would not have mattered how he would have fought, because, and I'll show you how. Notice how in round 5, Pedraza was getting off, landing his shots here and there, moving his head and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And Davis was like, yeah, he took it. He let him get off with his shots, and then he came back. Mm-hmm. And the way that, for me, and when he hurt him with the body shot in round 6, for me, the fight was over at that point. The way he finished him in round 7, that just said to me that going in, and Davis figured he was the better fighter, but early on, he knew he was the better fighter. And it was just a matter of when he wanted to end that fight and how he wanted to end that fight. Too big, too powerful, too determined, too strong for Pedraza. At the end of the day, he manhandled this dude. He did whatever he wanted to do it, and you can just see clearly he was just the physically superior fighter from jump.
Absolutely. What do you make of Floyd Mayweather, the promoter?
All things, in totality, it was a good show. Good start off to 2017. I have to give Floyd credit on this. 2 terrific fights, 2 excellent fights. A budding star on the one hand, on the undercard, and a fight that a lot of fights want to see. And what I mean by that, the best fighting the best, mm-hmm. Champions fighting the champions. You can't beat that. So that alone, and both fights were good.
Yes.
Pedraza was landing his shots. He was active, but you saw again, as I said, looks like a budding star on the scene, who performed sensationally. And the main event candidate for early fight of the year for 2017. Look, I've had my issues with Floyd and how he acts outside the ring, but from a promoter standpoint, from a fighter standpoint, you can't deny it. And from what you've seen of a promoter standpoint, based on this, you have to give Money Mayweather credit here. You just have to.
And him swearing on Showtime.
as opposed to other promoters swearing.
Well, I'm just saying.
I'm just. I mean, I'm not going to knock
I'm
into
just
that.
saying. I'm just.
As to other promoters swearing. I mean,
Of
you
course,
know.
of course.
So okay,
But
was it?
we try and set the
Was
bar
it?
a little higher. That's all.
I mean, you're right. You're right to a point, but let's be fair here. Let's look. Let's have a crystal clear view here. Other fighters have done the same. Other promoters have done the same.
But you
You
see,
know,
so because they do the same, does it make it right?
no, but are we going to? But should we get on? Should the combination of Floyd be harder than it is for anyone else?
No, but you see, Floyd, for me, is like I guess you want to set a bar above those. You don't want to be
Fair point. Fair point.
because Floyd is. If you remember Floyd is something what all those promoters aren't. He's a fighter who's still active, or they say he's retired, but he can come back any minute and still fight. Those other promoters couldn't do what Floyd's doing. None of those promoters have had taken out paid 400 million to have all their fights off of HBO and on Showtime and own their own fights. No promoters ain't done that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? So I mean, Floyd's in a category of his own. So he could set a benchmark that all those other promoters can't, if you get what I'm saying. So there's no need for him to stoop to them kind of levels to be among them. He needs to set himself apart. That's what I was thinking. Not the case of saying, well, Floyd's done it, let's jump on Floyd. More the case of, come on, Floyd, man, you are a cut above that anyway. You don't need to bring yourself down to the level of these other commoners, I would say. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But, you know, ultimately you are right. But I'm just saying, let's look at who we're talking about here. To be honest. I'm just saying.
That's true. What's your take on the old Ronda Rousey would beat Floyd Mayweather, gets knocked out. Conor McGregor would beat Floyd Mayweather, gets knocked out, comes back. Conor McGregor would beat Floyd Mayweather. Yeah, he'd knock Floyd Mayweather out. What's your thoughts on that?
What, the Floyd curse, if you will? I mean, I understand people just say that, but I just think that's just all, at the end of the day, just circumstances. And I just think, for me, the talk of Rousey beating Floyd was ridiculous, and she just happened to get beat. And I just think there's more of a point where Rousey just fought two ladies with the wrong style for her. First in Holly Holm, foolishly trying to get back in the ring against a fighter kind of similar to Rousey without having any tune-ups. And McGregor, I pay little to no attention to that because all I see that for what it is. For me, I just see that just as a money grab. That's all I see it for me. It's just a money grab for me.
Would it happen? If you're a betting man, would it happen?
Sadly, it may. Sadly, it may.
Sadly, it may. But I bet you tune in to watch it.
Maybe.
Yeah, all right. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine you.
I wouldn't pay for it. I'm not.
No. I'm not saying you pay for it. That's different. But would you watch it?
I may.
Well,
you got to remember now. This is the same dude who didn't see, who still has not and will not see Povetkin's last fight, because as I've said often on my show,
but you're comparing Povetkin with Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor.
No, I'm just saying that for me, as I said often on my show, I have standards.
Well, Floyd Mayweather is a standard, is he not?
Floyd Mayweather is the best pound for pound boxer in the world.
Right, so there's your standard.
No,
there's your standard there.
But that doesn't mean I want to see him in an MMA fight with a guy who loves to run his mouth, who's just shooting for a bunch of money.
But you'd like to see a masterclass, wouldn't you not?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, well that's interesting. Bo, you still in the room with us?
Put it this way.
I'm still here.
Put it this way. I would be much more interested in one of the welterweight champions finally giving Errol Spence a shot than I would to see Mayweather fight McGregor.
The Errol Spence story. Yes, I'd like to see Errol Spence get an opportunity. Will he get that opportunity? Again, against Kell Brook. I don't see it happening personally.
I'd rather see Inouye fight Chocolatito far more than I would see McGregor fight Mayweather. But that's just me.
Okay, I can understand that. I can appreciate that. Let me throw this at you guys. The agenda, which I can see as an agenda and a good agenda: Floyd Mayweather, 50 Cent, Mike Tyson, and celebrity boxing. Well, that's the best way I can put it. I have a good friend that started off was involved heavily in celebrity boxing. Do you remember when Vanilla Ice had beef with Todd Bridges?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I enjoyed that. I was young, but I didn't understand what was going on. I just know the two guys didn't like one another. I enjoyed watching it. So I can see that kind of retro stuff coming back into, or coming into 2017 with Soulja Boy and Chris Brown. Okay, now here's the thing. Two things. First of all, the fact that it's guys put down the guns and sort your beef out inside the ring and make some money for it. What are your thoughts on that, first and foremost, Bo and Michael? No, one of you can go first.
You can go first, Bo.
Ask that again, man. I want to make sure I understand this question.
Okay, question number one is: put down the guns and sort your beef out in a boxing ring at the MGM Grand. Your thoughts? Celebrity boxing.
Man, me and my co-pilot on the show we had a huge discussion about this, because he was talking about something. They got celebrity basketball and all this. Look, you want my honest opinion about this, man? Celebrity boxing, I think it's stupid. I think it's flat out stupid. I think anybody that's entertaining that thought need their head examined. And any network that's willing to promote that should never be allowed to have boxing on their show ever again. And anybody who wants to sit there and tell me how it's lucrative to the sport of boxing need to really step back and take a look. And here's the problem with that is boxing is the only sport that doesn't operate like every other sport. Every other sport, you have commission, you have unions, you have all of these things. Well, boxing don't operate like that. Boxing has always been its own little entity and its own little individual, which is why you get fighters that'll make $31 million a fight and guys that'll make $100,000 a fight, or sometimes maybe even less. Okay, you have the guys that are the stars that get pushed by the networks, and you have the guys that don't. So if you're going to take celebrity boxing who don't know how to box, they have absolutely no skill set. Let's see, the thing about football and the thing about basketball is, even though boxing was my passion, I still play basketball. Okay, but there aren't people who play basketball that did boxing as a hobby to stay in shape. Like, I would play basketball just to stay in shape, or I would play football just to stay in shape. No one plays you don't play boxing, so you don't do boxing as a hobby or something on the side, because the damage that can happen to you in boxing can prevent you from playing basketball and prevent you from playing football. So if you take people that don't have the skill set, it takes, and I'm not trying to trash any other sport, it takes a certain level of a skill set to be a boxer, especially if you want to tell me you're embracing the art form of the pugilist specialist. So it takes a certain skill set. So you take these people, you throw them in the ring, and remember those old butterbean fights? Remember those butterbean fights?
Mm-hmm.
Oscar always have. Well, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get these butterbean fights. There's going to be absolutely no skill. It's going to be a casual dream. It's going to be a casual fan's dream, because they're going to see wild slugfest and people getting knocked out. But is it good for boxing? Is it good for promoting the sport from the aspect of the art of the sport and the legacy that the sport have? In my opinion, hell no, it's not. And it's the reason why you have guys like Mickey Rourke. Remember when he became a fighter? And then you had another NFL lineman who became a fighter.
Mark Gastineau. And that's what happens when you do this, is you have these people that don't have a skill
coming into the sport, doing it, that's not supposed to be here. And what happens is the shine is taken away from guys that's on the everyday grind in the sport, putting in the time in the gym, and sacrificing day in and day out from the time they were little children, sacrificing day in and day out. So the shine has been taken away from them because you have these celebrities that they're going to focus on promoting. And then what's going to happen to boxing when something happens like that? Then we're going to say, oh, how come we don't have any stars? How come we don't have any stars? Because guess what? The guys that are supposed to be promoted aren't getting promoted because we have a bunch of idiots that want to see this garbage. And that's my opinion.
Okay. Some very good points there. Pound for pound boxing?
At the end of the day, these are two rap / R&B ninjas get in the ring over some petty beef bullshit. That's what this is. With boxing and quote unquote put down the guns in many ways as a front for people to pay a bunch of money for an event. To the brother's point, this really has nothing to do with the sweet science. It really doesn't. And for folks who act like it is, they're fooling themselves. This is celebrity TMZ urban hood nonsense to me in many ways. Remember when Willie D fought Melly Mel back in the day?
Yeah. Yeah.
I found more credibility to that in that because Willie D actually had a boxing background.
Right.
So I can understand the concept, and if after this they are really if it's about putting down the guns and all this stuff, the question is, what are you going to do afterwards? Don't use this as a promotional stunt, and then you don't do anything afterwards. Because if say a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year from now, I don't hear anything about what's going on in the streets with the real folks and what you're doing about that, then what? You're selling wolf tickets. And I'm not and I don't see any guarantee from any party involved that you're going to see anything done about this afterwards. So that's why I'm side-eyeing this whole thing.
Soulja Boy, did you see the video of Soulja Boy throwing punches?
See, look, you can't even say it with a straight face.
No, wait a minute. Hold on. I'll give you one worse. Did you see the look on Mayweather's face when Soulja Boy was sitting there at the table trying to act like he was from the hood? Listen, let me tell you something. Hold on. Let me I took my camera off for a second because I had to get out. I came home from work and went straight to the TV to watch the fight. Never took off that blame thermal. So I'm over here in the Midwest. But let me tell you something. And I have an 18-year-old son, and I have a 14-year-old son. And true story. They came down and they watched the Tupac story or something like that on TV, right? And they were walking around the house. They had wrote the words. They couldn't even spell thug. It looked like it said slug life. They wrote these words on their t-shirts. They had the little handkerchief in their pants. They was walking around the house, and my wife was laughing because she thought it was cute. She was cracking up, and I was telling her, stop laughing, stop encouraging that kind of idiocy. And one of my oldest son had the nerve to say, "Yeah, Daddy, I'm from the hood. I'm tough. And I said, whoa, pause, time out. First of all, I grew up on the west side of Chicago. Your mama grew up in the projects. We're from the hood. You are privileged. You have deers, rabbits, and squirrels and green grass, a 1/4 acre land to play on. So you're not from the hood. And if you telling me 20 years, 25 years of working, and we are still in the hood, I have done something wrong in my life trying to provide you a better lifestyle. So stop that talking about you from the hood, because real people from the hood don't glorify the hood because we was too busy trying to get our butts out of it.
Real people from the hood are laughing at this whole thing.
Yeah, they are. They are. They are. And also here's a really bad thing about it is that shout out to my man 2K from the Gods of Boxing. He said when you see a cat doing all this while he talking, trying to overemphasize how tough he is, you know he fake because don't nobody do that. Like
nobody do that.
Yeah, he was like, oh yeah, you know, I bang, did like that, bang, dude. I'm like, oh my God. Are you kidding me? My daughter who boxes, I'm thinking to myself, my 16-year-old daughter, blow this boy out the water if she can.
You see the way he's throwing them punches though?
Yeah. It's, you know, and shame on those guys from the hood who are allowing them to say that they from the hood or paying them to act like, hey, yeah, he from the hood. Shame on them for that.
Remember that guy? But he went. I think he went to Compton.
Yeah, and he got his phone taken. Got his phone taken.
Oh.
So this moniker for again, this publicity thing about putting down the guns. You know, if they really serious about that, you could do it in other ways than putting two dudes in the ring who basically in there just to try to tell some silly beef.
Chris Brown looked like he had a bit of boxing skill there, though, didn't he? Didn't you think?
And what do you want for that? A cookie, a biscuit, a donut?
Well, actually, I've got a chocolate biscuit here, right here, as you say that. But to be serious, the idea of Chris Brown and Soulja Boy coming out of the MGM Grand is going to happen.
On pay-per-view at that.
Pay-per-view. Mayweather Promotions.
Do you know what real hood dudes going to do? Real street dudes are going to do? They're going to stream this mug. They're not going to pay money for it. They're going to stream it.
Or ask Chris Brown and Soulja Boy to get them a hookup.
Pretty much. They're going to stream it or they're going to watch it on Periscope because you know you're going to see it there.
True. Well, the thing that makes it really bad is what I just said right there. It's on pay-per-view, right? Which means this is about what? This is about money. This has nothing to do, like he said, pound for pound boxing said, this has nothing to do with putting down the guns. Because putting down the guns means let's sit at a table, let's talk.
I just thought about something here. Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor, top of the bill. This fight on the undercard.
That's about money too. So that means nothing to me. Both of them are about money.
I know it's about money, but you can see that fight. You can see that selling if McGregor and Floyd were to fight.
Again, you're talking to someone who, just because they are in there, I'm not greatly moved by that.
I totally understand. I totally understand. But again, it has to be talked about. The thing is, if this is a success, you can see not just from the hip hop world, you can see basketball players get involved. You can see American football players get involved. You can see a whole run of people getting involved within celebrity boxing.
They're not going to offer enough money for them to put themselves out like that.
Well, if you're talking basketball, football players, you're talking about former basketball, football players, because the NFL and the NBA have clauses in their contracts.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say that too, but also if you have an NBA player making $20, $30 million a year, if you have an NFL player making 10, 15, do you think they're going to offer him twice that or to get them in a ring like that? Nuh-uh.
So it'll be a former player, you think?
It'll be a former player, somebody that's signed to like the practice squad, only making a couple $100,000.
Ain't no hell way Roger Goodell is going to risk putting a current player in a situation like that.
I agree 100%.
So where do you think this ends, lads?
It ends with this. There's nothing going to come from this.
So the end result, Soulja Boy versus.
I mean, what's next? Drake getting into the ring and beefing with whoever. You know that's not going to happen. Drake too much of an emo dude.
You're dropping bombs, boy.
You did drink too much of a hemo dude.
Emo dude. You too much of an emo dude. And tell me I'm lying.
That's why he said you dropping bombs.
I'm not. I am not. I'm not in a boxing show, but yeah, I understand exactly where you're getting from. Totally. So let's talk a little bit about serious boxing. You've got coming up Frampton versus Cruz, the rematch. Thoughts on this fight?
When I heard Santa Cruz give his assessment, his analysis of the first fight, a lot of what I'm hearing was basically location, because the fight was on the East Coast and kind of quasi Frampton territory. That's why he won. The issue for me is him not giving Frampton enough credit for what Frampton did to him in the ring. How, for me, it's just not a simple case of the fight being moved out to the West Coast, even though I think Frampton is making a mistake by doing that. I thought he should have fought it in Barclays again, try to seek it out in Barclays again, or even bring Santa Cruz overseas. There are some minor things that Santa Cruz will have to do from a technical standpoint to ensure a win in this rematch. Because for me, the way Frampton performed, I think he even surprised himself how much he got the attention of Santa Cruz. I can see him improving. I want to see what adjustments that Santa Cruz will make for this bout.
Okay. Do you think that Frampton can fight any better than when he fought that night?
It's a good question. I don't know.
Here's another thing. How much was the effects of his father, Santa Cruz, the whole issue he had with his father? There were some issues. His father wasn't well, wasn't in his corner, blah, 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 blah. How much of that was an effect on the Santa Cruz first performance?
Did that have an effect of Frampton hurting him in that fight? Because Frampton did get his buckle him a couple of times.
Yes, but if you're not focused on a fight 100% and your mind, you've not got yourself into fight mode the way you should do, like, does that not play a part?
True, but my point is I'm a little bit skeptical. This is just for me. I don't know how much that played into the fight itself, given how well both fighters fought.
Yeah, but you know, when you've been training with your dad's your inspiration, and he's not been well, if that as documented, I mean, if your dad's not been well, your focus on your dad getting better, not beating Carl Frampton. Yeah, so
yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I'm just saying, but for me, I don't know. For me, I'm a little bit skeptical how much that played. We will see in the rematch. I have to see in the rematch to be sure, but for me, I'm not putting that much emphasis on it as everybody else is.
Okay, so the way I kind of called it was that how much more can Frampton improve, and does he predict or does he train for the Santa Cruz that he fought the first time round? And if so, he's got a game plan set to fight that Santa Cruz, and the Santa Cruz that comes this time round is the Santa Cruz that should originally have fought Frampton and not the one that was caught up with his father and is a better version. Does that Santa Cruz beat Frampton?
I like my colleague answer that question because I have to ponder on that. I think he's on mute.
No, I'm back. Say what you said again about
Frampton.
Santa Cruz's father was out, right?
Santa Cruz's father was out. I know he was in the fight last minute or something like that, but Frampton has a win over Santa Cruz, so his team will focus on the Santa Cruz that they beat. So that's their mindset. But they don't know how much more of Santa Cruz has to give. So if Santa Cruz were to come back the way Santa Cruz normally fights, and Frampton's prepared for Santa Cruz a little bit more, then could he have prepared shortfall for Santa Cruz in the rematch, which makes Santa Cruz get the win this time around?
No, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I've been following Leo Santa Cruz's career for quite some time. The way Leo Santa Cruz fought when he fought Frampton is the same way Leo Santa Cruz always fights. He's a pressure fighter who comes forward. He overwhelms you by throwing a lot of punches. He's never had like a lot of power. He had the advantage of being taller and having a longer reach than most of his opponents. But the Carl Frampton he faced was a Carl Frampton that gave him something he's never seen before. They gave him angles, gave him movement, gave him different punch variations. And Santa Cruz has never had to make adjustments. And he didn't, because he never had to, he didn't make no adjustments. His corner didn't even know what to tell him. They just kept telling him, you got to throw more, you got to throw more. They weren't telling him, hey, step to the side and throw him off on his game. You know, go to his body, step to the side, throw some hooks, you know, grab him, spin him around, do stuff to make Frampton uncomfortable. Frampton made Santa Cruz uncomfortable and made Santa Cruz fight a fight that he's not normally used to fighting, which was more technical. That's not Santa Cruz's fight. So I think Frampton is going to prepare for the Santa Cruz that they beat, because normally that's what fighters do when you train. Only because the Santa Cruz that we saw, that's Santa Cruz. That's Leo Santa Cruz, and that's the way that he fights. The only thing Leo Santa Cruz can be different in my eyes is if he used more of his advantages, like when he fought Abner Mares. But the problem is the way Frampton fought, he wasn't able to implement his game plan. Now, he can come in with a better mindset, Leo Santa Cruz. He can come in with a better mindset, and coming in with a better mindset helps you sometimes. But a guy like Leo Santa Cruz, the way he fights, that's just the way he fights. You're not going to see nothing different. He might try to come in and be more aggressive and more overwhelming to try to make Frampton expand more energy. But no, I picked Frampton the first time, and I'm going to pick Frampton again this time.
Okay. Pound for pound, your final thoughts on that?
Frampton won the first time without really using his best weapon for me, which is his jab. What if he finally finds a way to really get the jab going? If he does, it doesn't matter what Santa Cruz is going to do, how he can adjust, because he can control the fight with the left hand. I would like to see Santa Cruz step around more, use angles in and out. The question is, at this stage of his career, really can he? Can he do what Abner Mares did in his last fight, in the way Abner Mares adjusted against when he won the title?
Wow, yeah.
If he can, sure he can beat Frampton in a rematch. I just don't know if he can. Especially if Frampton gets the jab going, and especially if Frampton lands some hard punches on him. Will he revert back to form?
That's the thing with guys like Cruz or any fighter. If they're even thinking of using new techniques or new tactics, as soon as they get cracked on the chin, it goes back to the same old.
Right.
So there is a theory, there's a feeling that maybe Frampton can go one step further and knock Santa Cruz out in the second fight.
I don't see that.
I don't see that either.
You don't see that?
No.
He was able to hurt him significantly in the first fight.
Yeah, but Santa Cruz, he's a tough guy. He has a good beard.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, guys. It is almost 7 o'clock in the morning UK time, so I'm going to wrap this all up. But before I do, let people know how they can catch you and where they can get you, and your Twitter handles and your social media and all the rest of it. And if you want to give your bank details away, we gladly accept donations. Anyway, first off, pound for pound boxing.
If you want to follow me personally, talking boxing or music, or just talking all kinds of mess about our new president-elect, you can follow me on Twitter, Brother JR. 76. If you want to follow all pound for pound, all things pound for pound boxing report, please check out the blog page P4P Boxing Report. .wordpress.com is the link. You check the right of the page, you will find links to where to see, find out pages on G Plus, Facebook, Tumblr. Also links to where to listen to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Player.fm. The Twitter handle, which is at P4P Boxing Report. The email address, which is TIGERNET76@gmail.com. Pound for Pound Boxing Report. Live YouTube shows, usually Thursdays 9 p.m., as well as podcasts as well, which I drop the following day. So there you go.
Fantastic stuff. You are all over social media. Well done. Excellent stuff. There's no excuses why people can't hear what you have to say.
Twitter P4P Boxing Report, P4P Boxing Report, Pound for Pound Boxing Report on Twitter.
Fantastic. And Bo, Truth and Facts Boxing.
Yeah, you can find me, of course, on YouTube, Truth and Facts About Boxing. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram is truth_factsbox1. And of course, you can find me on Facebook. And on Sundays, we do a podcast. We actually, two of the guys from, I'm with a group called The Movement. We do a podcast every Sunday. We had an interview with Deontay Wilder.
Nice.
Look at here. Yeah, we interviewed Deontay Wilder. We actually have an interview coming up with Oscar Valdez's trainer, Manuel Robles. We interviewing him this Sunday, tomorrow. And so you can that's The Movement. You can find us on SoundCloud. That's oh man, what is that number? I keep forgetting that number. But it's SoundCloud. You can find us in Facebook at The Movement. And hey, and anything about boxing, you know, that's where you can find us.
Fantastic stuff, guys. And you've been watching Bayloric Worldwide Television. Just hit that subscribe button and you'll get news, views, interviews, music, the lot.
Pound for pound, you gotta send me your information.
Pardon?
I said pound for pound has to send me his information.
Oh, sure.
Okay, cool. No problems. I can get you guys on Twitter as soon as I get off of this.
No problem.
Okay, guys, stay on the line. This has been Ingram Jones from Bayloric Worldwide Television. Thank you all for tuning in to watch the James Degale versus Badou Jack unification post-fight review. I'm joined with Pound for Pound Boxing and Truth and Facts Boxing. You've been watching Bayloric TV. We're out. Take care.